One of the foundational elements of jazz improvisation is mastering enclosures, small one-note cells that can transform bland scales into compelling musical ideas. My name is Nathan Borton, and I've taught in higher education and online, helping hundreds of students master the concepts that built the jazz legends. Today, let's unlock the secrets of enclosures. So enclosures are the secret element that keep your lines connected and moving forward. At their core, they're simple: 2 or 3 notes that frame a target tone, creating tension and resolution, as well as rhythmic motion. The 2 most common types of enclosures are downbeat enclosures and upbeat enclosures. Imagine that we're targeting the note D on the A string, for example. A 2-note enclosure might approach it from below or above by 1 note. A 3-note enclosure adds rhythmic tension by starting on an upbeat either 2 notes below or above, or 1 note below or above. These tiny cells are the DNA of jazz, part of the reason why someone like Charlie Parker sounds the way that they do. To internalize enclosures, let's start with arpeggios. Take a C major 7 arpeggio, for example. Now enclose the first note with a 2-note enclosure. Repeat this pattern through every chord in the C major scale until your fingers learn how it feels to play these enclosures and your ears can hear them. You could also start these arpeggios with a 3-note enclosure instead. So this isn't just practice. Doing this exercise off every arpeggio in the C major scale gives you small fragments of information that you can use to link to jazz language. Kind of like this. First, play our exercise enclosing C major 7. Now walk down a C major scale, but pause to enclose any note on the way down. For this example, let's target G. So let the rhythm guide you. If G lands on a downbeat, use a 2-note enclosure. If it lands on an upbeat, use 3. In this case, G lands on an upbeat, so we would use a 3-note enclosure to enclose that G. So let's do this again, but now use D minor 7 instead of C major 7. And now let's target A, going down using the D Dorian scale. So now let's expand on that and use enclosures as part of jazz language. Take a 2-5 progression, so let's use D minor 7 and G7 for today. So start with a classic G7 dominant phrase, like this one. Let's use enclosures to connect it to the previous chord D minor. So what we need to do is walk up the D Dorian scale from G, the starting note of our dominant phrase. When you reach G, think about what beat that G lands on. If it lands on an upbeat, right, we're going to use a 3-note enclosure. And if it lands on a downbeat, we're going to use a 2-note enclosure. In this case, it's an upbeat, so we're going to enclose it with 3 notes. And then play our language. You can repeat this process starting on different notes of the D Dorian scale to create different variations of this connective line. Each variation can become a building block to lead to other ideas. Notice here I played our exercise, but I started on C and then I walked up to our dominant phrase, which starts on G. Here it lands on a downbeat, so we're going to use 2 notes to enclose that. Then we play our dominant phrase. And then we're going to walk down the C major scale, or the D Dorian scale rather, and enclose our dominant language when we hit it an octave lower. So that means it's going to come in on an upbeat. So we're going to use 3 notes to enclose that. And then just play our dominant phrase an octave lower. And we created this nice, beautiful line that not only sounds good, but uses enclosures and has a lot of forward momentum. So mastering enclosures is essential to understanding jazz improvisation. Transcribe solos and notice how they frame target notes with enclosures. And when you practice, don't just play enclosures, listen to how they pull and push and persuade the beat to move forward. Thank you so much for watching this video about how to use enclosures. If you'd like me to do a follow-up on this video talking about other various ways to use enclosures, then make sure to let me know in the comment sections below. Also, if you're serious about improving your guitar playing, make sure to listen up. Have you ever listened to jazz guitar legends like Wes Montgomery or Joe Pass and thought, how do they sound so good? My name's Nathan Borton, and I've spent years breaking down the language of jazz guitar greats. Over on my Patreon, I've built something unique, a complete and evolving database that will give you everything you need to sound like the jazz guitar legends. You'll get exclusive access to hundreds of videos that break down specific elements of all the jazz legends, in-depth masterclasses, chord melody arrangements, practice-ready etudes that turn theory into muscle memory, as well as guitar profiles synced to every single piece of content. But don't just take my word for it, look at all the satisfied customers that are currently using Patreon and getting the most out of this exclusive and great service. Join hundreds of guitarists unlocking their potential right now. And speaking of Patreons, I want to give a shout out to those Patreons that make this channel possible. Without you all, none of this would happen, and I truly appreciate your support. Thank you. All right, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and remember to always keep swinging.